on Friday night.
Yeah, it's Friday night, 2021, not 2005. We are fully aware of what happened. There's not one person within our program, even counting Amber, who was here during that time, that ever thought it was going to be a pro Razorback crowd over there. We're fully expecting a packed house of Red Wolf fans. I don't think they were the Red Wolves back then. Now they are. That's changed too. We have the utmost respect for Matt, his program. We wouldn't have scheduled them otherwise. We would have just not played. We know it's going to be a challenge. It's why we took our team to UConn last week, is to get ready for games like this. They have our full attention. I've watched more film on them than I did on UConn. So getting that out of the way first and foremost. If that happened in 2005, so be it. I had more hair, less kids, and lots of other things were different. So we'll get that out of the way. We are fully focused, know what we're up against, and know that I hope people will come out to enjoy this game, not it be some revival of something that none of us were a part of. His team is playing extremely well. They're playing fast. They've had a very similar schedule we have. 2 games that they've won, and then a very challenging game when they went on the road to Oklahoma. It's got to be entertaining. So I hope people are coming out for the entertainment factor of these 2 particular programs and these 2 particular teams and this particular set of players. So with that said, I'll take questions.
Paul, lead it off.
Matt, Mike, can you talk about what challenges they present? Are they a little similar to you guys with a lot of new faces?
Yeah, sure. And they come at you in waves, and they're relentless, and their pace is impressive. They can, beat you a lot of different ways. They've got an inside presence. They've got an outside attack. They're shooting it extremely well. They're not turning it over excessively. They're challenged. They've played good teams. They present tremendous challenges just up and down. I mean, because of their depth, but similar. We've got depth too. We can play fast. I think defensively, they probably are a little ahead of us. They've got more defense in than we do. There's multiple looks that they've been showing. So they're probably ahead of us there. That's something we'll have to catch up on in the next couple of days. But yeah, I think it's easy to say there's some stark similarities in how we go about trying to attack people.
Feel like your length could give them some issue. They're a little smaller overall.
Maybe. I hope if there's an advantage for a chance, that would be ours, that we could. But sometimes that length can get under you. We've been undersized in the past too, and beaten lengthier teams. So, I think they're playing the right style of play to be scary. If that's an appropriate basketball term, but they're scary to watch on film. The edit that we put together, is very, very impressive. Our kids, like I said, when they first see it, it's not going to be hard to convince them that this is a team that is in attack mode all the time.
Thanks.
Yep.
Randy, go ahead.
Mike, what did you learn from the Connecticut atmosphere that can help you prepare for the atmosphere that you're anticipating in Jonesboro?
That if you're not ready, the game can be over in the first 5 minutes. And that was where that game was. We were down 17-2, and then it was dead even from that point on. And that was a span of 2 minutes and 16 seconds. It went from 5-2 to 17-2 in 2 minutes and 16 seconds. So, man, we learned the value. We've talked about it, but sometimes you can talk is not teaching. We learned because to a person, after watching that film, we drove to New York City right after the game, and everybody had it on their phones and was rewatching it. And we all spent the next day walking around talking about little things we could have done, not bottom of the scout things, but top of the scout things. And we could have won that game. Now, that's why UConn is who they are. You have to be almost perfect to beat them at their place. We weren't near perfect. But the things were all fixable. The getting back in transition, the understanding your scout that you don't play a particular player this way. Then we learned from that environment that if you come out and you compete and you play, the environment doesn't matter as much. That crowd got really quiet when we cut it to 3, and they had to take a timeout, and they, so I think we learned an awful lot, and it goes really, really deep, and it was a valuable trip for us. It hurts because now you look back on it and you go, wow, we could have done some things. I'm not saying we could have won the game, but it could have been a lot closer. So we'll take those. I think they did a lot of that on their own, but we'll finish up what they didn't catch in film today.
The one thing that also possibly came out of that Connecticut game, are you now finding a rotation you feel comfortable with?
No. No, what I'm finding is ones I'm not, we're not, that are not a good idea, that these don't fit together. So yes, I guess in a circular argument here, yeah, we are finding out ones that we are going to have to play and more data and data against a team that I think is 1 or 2 in the country right now. You can flip a coin between them and South Carolina probably right now. So yeah, we've got more data, we've got more information, and I think we're closer to it, but I'm still not comfortable yet. I still want to see 2 more. We'll have a different, Paul, get your spreadsheet ready with a different starting lineup at Arkansas State. And y'all can guess who, probably guess correctly who that's going to be. But we're getting more information. So yeah, we are getting closer, but I'm still nowhere near comfortable with the pieces that fit together yet.
Thank you, Mike.
You
We'll
got
go
it.
to Corey next. Coach Corey is going to be on the sideline Friday night.
Oh, hey, Corey.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Good.
Good to see you. So you're an Arkansas guy. This
Yep.
is an Arkansas rivalry game. What does this mean to you and your many Arkansas players on your team this year?
Well, having grown up, I was one of the people that had to have it explained to me why this game didn't happen every year.
Yeah.
And I would ask anybody that would tell me, and I never really got an answer that made sense to me, but I was 12. So I just kind of took it as we just don't play them. So, to be a part of the first game that's scheduled, I know that other game wasn't in the past. They haven't been. They've been kind of different. So is the series 3-2? Did somebody tell me that? So did they play prior?
So the series is 5-3, but 2-3 in Jonesboro.
Oh, okay. All right. So, yeah, I don't know. But just to be a part that got it going from the last time in a long time, I hope that what weakened me is that we're supposed to play each other. And It's for the betterment of every single team, every high school, every middle school, every elementary, that there's a lot of options in this state. And I said it when we scheduled these games. We are going to lose one of these, and it may be Friday. And it's okay. It's not the end of anybody's program. It's the good for everybody that these games are not only played, but that they're competitive and that it gets people fired up. I'm glad that I have people trying to get tickets. They can't get tickets in the lower bowl, so that's a good thing for sports in our state, for our fans in that part of the country, for their fans, to come out and see that game. I just think we would have been doing a disservice had we not. And it was easy. It was one phone call to Matt. He was ready to do it. We were ready to do it. Let's do it for 4 years. Let's play home and away. Let's not do one of these just come here or neutral site. Let's play. So I'm proud that we're part of it. I think our kids are excited about being part of that too. I'm having, some of these kids weren't born then. So I'm going to have to talk to them, about, I guess they all were, but they were really, really young. None of them knew what basketball was at that point.
Talking a little bit about just kind of the battle of the freshmen is what it seems like, because A-State has a lot of those Power 5 really young transfers, and y'all have 6 freshmen on your roster. What is that going to look like Friday?
It could be a lot of emotions, just because of the excitement that'll be around it. You don't ever know what to expect. But I've learned from our freshmen, sometimes the bigger the stage, the better they play too. So I'm sure Matt feels that same way. I don't know how much y'all watched of us, but Sam Spencer sure doesn't seem to be intimidated by any atmosphere. And if you haven't seen Emory Ellis go toe-to-toe in shoving matches with some of the best players in the country, she doesn't appear to realize she's a freshman. Jersey and, even Alana is really truly a freshman in the way that she plays. So I haven't seen any sign of that it being an issue. I think it brings a freshness I love the fact that when we got to UConn, they were taking pictures of the logo and the banners and things like that. I hope they do the same thing when we get to the Convocation Center.
First National Bank Arena.
My fault. Yeah. Sorry.
No
First
worries.
National
It's
Bank.
had a name change.
When did that change? When was that?
Like 3 or 4 years ago. It was not
Yeah,
that long
that's my
ago.
fault then.
Forever the Convocation Center. We still make that mistake all the time.
There you go.
Just in general, what would you say is like your 1-sentence summary of this matchup?
So the West Wing 10-word answer thing. I wasn't prepared for a 10-word answer, but short sentence is, I hope it's good for the state. I hope it's good for his team. I hope it's good for good for both teams. I hope he learns a lot. I hope we learn a lot. Win, lose, or draw. Both of us need to learn from it and help us do well in our league when those times come. I think it's an important game for us to both play, and hopefully both of us play well and it's entertaining.
Thank you, Coach. See you Friday.
Yep, you got it.
Jacob, we'll go to you.
Mike, how have you felt about the production from the returners? I mean, besides Amber, they've all obviously taken a bigger role on this season. Just what have you felt from those guys' first 3 games?
Yeah, Erin's been really, really solid. She's been very, very solid. Her numbers show that. Her percentages show that. The film shows that. The way opponents have struggled to guard her, at times have shown all that. So she's really done well. It's a new role for Marquisha. She's still, I think, in that we're seeing flashes of it, but not the consistent minutes. Mac is she's down here, wanting to shoot every single day because she doesn't feel like her shot's going in, but we know that'll come. So I'm good with it. I'm good with where they're at. Riley is knocking on the door and playing in some of our best lineups. So counting on those kids. Destiny is really close to as well to giving us some minutes. So those 4 right there have really given us a chance. I still count Alana as being a freshman, even though she is a returner, she's not a returner to the court, but I mentioned her because her minutes have been very effective too. So I'm pleased, but not satisfied.
You talked about, the rotations, obviously. Where is the chemistry at just overall with this team through 3 games?
Well, I think their chemistry, liking each other, when you think of the word chemistry, you think about how they interact with each other. I think their flow right now is disjointed, and I apologize to them that for every day, but that's a good place for a program to be on November the 17th. I think. I think if you look at the best teams, they do have a number of options of players, and it's not set in stone from day one and just stays that way. And everybody adjusts to the role that's developed. I think it's good that we've got competition still going on in practice. I think it's good that we've got competition to be productive in games. And I think as a result, we're starting to see, I had one player that said, Coach, I'm not sure I'm a starter. I think I am better coming off the bench. Great. We figured that out. Cross you off as being, somebody that we look to start the game. So I think we all learn from it as long as we will learn from it and accept the learning opportunities. So I don't think we have great flow, but I think we have tremendous team chemistry. You could just sense that walking around the streets of New York the other day and the things that they were doing and the way they went about doing it. I think that's what most people think of when they think of chemistry. So that part's good, but our flow and our execution can get markedly better in the next, 3 to 4 games. It's what I've told the team. We've got about another 3 to 4 games from that. And then we've got to start developing some flow. That's when we've got to get into, hey, you're going to be the first. Don't even wait. You're going in that first media. If she gets 3 fouls, that's you. We've got to start practicing that before we get to the SEC. So we got 3 or 4 more games here that we can continue to evaluate and give everybody opportunities. And then we've got to start thinking about flow.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
Kevin, you got anything? Think you're muted.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
All right.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to ask you about, you mentioned Alana Eaton. I just want to ask you a little bit of how well she's playing coming back from, the injury that she had.
Yeah. And, it's really 2 injuries. This is a kid that I don't think ever fully recovered from the first ACL. So she's doing great. She is our energy. She's very, very coachable. She's got a strong, strong desire for our team to win. She was a very vocal voice in our huddle through the first three games and 4th count in our closed door scrimmage. And then her shooting has been really good. She's still learning, you know, how to attack with having a limited ability to attack off the dribble now. Knees are not the same after you blow an ACL. So she's learning where to attack and when to move it and when to shoot it. But man, I'm just really pleased and happy and proud of her, because it is not easy to go through what she went through and then try to compete against the people we're asking her to compete against. But done really, really well. Been a true spark for us in lots of different ways. You know, I think still her best basketball is way ahead of her when her body gets back. You know, 18 months to 2 years is about when that body starts to feel right altogether. So I'm hopeful that she stays healthy and then we get a chance to see what that all looks like. But she's done a really good job of adjusting her game, which is really, really hard thing to do. When you're used to being able to rip it and go by people as part of your attack, and then now that's gone because the explosiveness is not there. It's not because she hasn't worked hard. It's not because she hasn't done everything. It's biology.
Thanks, Coach.
Or actually, I guess anatomy and physiology. Sorry, but same.
Thanks, Coach.
You got it.
Taylor, go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, I got a two-part question for you. First, with Sasha coming off her best performance of the young season, I spoke with her this morning. She talked about coming in and she was kind of disappointed with her performance to start practice and stuff like that, and she was kind of down on herself. And she said that she talked about the trust that you showed in her and how much that helped her along. Can you just kind of talk about yours and her relationship since she got back on campus?
Yeah, it's exactly what she's talked about, in that I knew it was going to be a hard adjustment, just because of how much she cares and she wants to please her coaches, her teammates, her family, the community. I mean, that's a lot riding on a kid. So we were very, 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 very patient and tried not to make anything so urgent. It was just important, not urgent. These aren't going to be important, but we don't have to be in a rush to do all these things. So let's tackle these things in order. And I think we put together a really good plan. And when the moments came that the struggles happen, we've all been there. Let's recognize them. Let's see them. Let's beat that one before we move on to the next thing. And I think she's getting more and more comfortable every day, every practice, every game. And you can see it. You know, there were times that she was the best player on the floor, not named Paige Beckers, that up there in that game. She really was. And that's a huge compliment. But she's versatile. She's a really, really good teammate. She really wanted to make sure that team accepted her, not just come in and be given something. She wanted to earn everything that she did. She was, not that we were ever going to do that, but she knew that. And I do trust her. And, you know, when you go through what we did, the recruitment process, and then her choosing someplace else, I never lost trust in her or any of that. And we picked right up where recruiting ended. You know, that was what we talked about a lot. It was just like it's like this 1 year that just disappeared, you know. So I think how you handle things, we did the way she handled it. They matched up and stayed in good alignment. So and she's easy to trust. She earns it. And we can give her that trust because she has earned it. That was the one part. You said it was a two-part. Did I miss the second part?
Nope, but that leads right into my next one, actually.
Okay.
I know you touched on this a little bit in the off season, and I spoke to Sasha about it a little bit this morning, but how disappointed were you hearing no from her the first time around? And then if you could couple that with how excited you were to hear that she was coming back to be a Razorback.
Well, I was in Hawaii when she told me that she wasn't coming. I was on a Nike trip, and her father had texted me and told me they were going to be calling me that morning at 7, which was 3 a.m. my time. And I knew at the time of the year that they were calling me, I knew it was going to be a no. So I did the best I could do to prepare myself to hear at 3 a.m. On the beaches of Hawaii that a player that I did want to coach was going to go someplace else. But I was prepared for it because I kind of knew where Sasha was at in her life at that point in time. And I think, you know, kind of seeing about going away from home was something that was really intriguing to her. So I wasn't shocked. I didn't stay up all night long and ponder what we could have done differently. We did a great job recruiting her. It was just not the right time in the right place. So I let it go pretty fast. went and played golf that afternoon and shot about 105 and blamed it on her. So no, it was fine. Listen, I know how hard of a decision those are to make, but likewise, when she called, I didn't try to talk her out of it. I didn't, tell her she was making the worst decision of her life and that she would never be let back in the state of Arkansas. It was, hey, I get it. Best of luck. If we can ever do anything for you, if you're ever home and want to work out, our gyms are open. So I think then when she did reach out about coming back, it was seamless. It was falling right back into where we were at. And let's take that same blueprint that we had talked about. Now you've got another year of experience. I'm lucky that kid got a freshman year under a great coach in a great league and got to play a ton. And we got her back with 4 years of eligibility. That's a win right there. That's a win. So, but she's such a good kid. We knew how she would impact. You see young people coming to our games wearing a homemade Sasha Goforth jersey. The way she interacts with fans already, staying afterwards, taking pictures in the parking lot. And it was as hard as it was to let her go, it was worth it to get her back.
Oh, thanks, Coach.
You got it.
Anything else regarding Arkansas State on Friday night? All right, we will shift gears. Coach, you want to talk a little bit about SMU coming to Bud on Monday?
A friend of mine, I've known Coach Wilson since our very, very early days of being assistant coaches. She's doing a great job in a really tough situation. A team that didn't really get COVIDed out last year, kind of got shut down early. And she's come in and really breathed some life into a storied program. SMU has got a lot of rich history. I'll be honest, I haven't watched any film on them. I don't have a clue what they're doing. I've just been watching box scores, and I know that they've got a couple wins and they're playing people that are good, very close. So I probably can't speak to very detailed specifics about them yet. But I do know that I know her, and I know what her teams were like when she was at Prairie View, and I know what she learned at Baylor and at Michigan, and I know she's taken those things. I know how good of a person and how good of a coach she is. So they'll come in here. We went down there last year. We played lights out, shot it so well early that game was over early. We didn't get really a true probably look at what they're capable of being, but I can assure you they'll be prepared. They will have a ton of energy and won't be intimidated at all coming to play a Power 5 school on the road.
Paul, go ahead.
I guess my thing is, you guys talk about just the quick turnaround and keeping the legs and fresh and, and turning the page. I mean, that's just more development, right?
I think that's what we're really good at. We're good at looking at the big calendar and knowing when to push them and when to pull back and when we need to rest and how we need to do it. And, we gave them an extra day. Although Monday we weren't off. We didn't practice Monday and we didn't practice Tuesday. And we built that in knowing that we've got this and then Monday. So I think we're good at that. I do. I don't lose one bit of sleep worried about preparation and recovery. I think we've got that locked down pretty good. Now it mentally is the part that I'm still unsure with some of our team. Sorry, Paul, you changed from over here to over here on me. That mental part of it, I'm still kind of learning each of them, and especially even Amber in a new role, even Michaela in a new role. How are they processing these things? And, maybe we have to make some tweaks. We can't just rely on successes of the past. You have to constantly be ready to adapt. So I have found myself talking to our kids about things like that way more than I ever have in the past. Like, how we doing? Really mental checkups, physical checkups, really using all the resources and the tools that we have. We've got, machines that measure how many times a kid jumps during practice and how many miles they run and what their fastest time is at some point in time. Some of that data is overwhelming to me, but I look at it because if Sasha Goforth, she's our number one jumper. She leaves the floor more than anybody in practice, sometimes a couple of hundred times a practice. If she's up there in the 200s, then we need to lower it down for her. She needs to be, going into the game, in the hundreds. So just put Sasha on one team today. Sasha will just be on, spoiler alert, today. She doesn't know it yet, but today she's going to be on one team because she needs to be able to jump 200 times against Arkansas State. I don't care how many times she jumps today. So I do care about it, but we do monitor it. And I think the turnaround will be hopefully not noticeable.
Hey, that brings up one other question. You talked about last year about shortening the length of practice. When does that happen this year? Do you know?
It has already. Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
That's what I wanted to ask.
we tell them the goal is 5 minutes a week, and it all determines on how you did the week before. And there for a while, we were on a stream, man. We were like, bang, 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 knocking it off. Then we had a little setback. We had a couple of weeks in a row there where we didn't get done what we needed to get done. So, and I kind of let them be the judge of it. I'll say, what do y'all think? You know, they're like, coach, we need to practice this week. You know, we need to practice. I will tell you that we're cutting down things. Like, we only work on the things that we're doing an awful lot right now. We will eliminate, you know, if we haven't got you ready to get back in transition by the end of this week, then you're probably never going to do it. So we're going to eliminate that by eliminating your playing time. If you haven't figured out by now that transition defense is important to us, then there's a bigger issue at hand. So we will start cutting back on some of those things and ramping up the prep. And when that starts, that's when your practice times come down. And hopefully when our practice times come down, then their individual times to work out go up and we start shooting it a little bit better. I'm okay with where we're at right now because we're taking good shot quality. We've got this company that tracks our shots and tells us what we already think we know, but we're taking good shots. So we just need to make a few more and keep the other team from making quite as many.
Thanks, Coach.
You got it.
Randy, you got anything else?
Yeah, Mike, just asking about your defense, what you learned out of the UConn game, particularly trying to guard someone like Becker. How does that translate into playing someone like an Arkansas State and an SMU? Obviously, they're not going to have a player of that caliber, but what did you learn from that game?
Well, that we were really good at some things and not very good at others. And there's some things that you can still be really good at, and the kid's just going to outperform your defense. And she did that a couple of times. But we're able now to say, you see what the very, very best looks like. Now let's apply that same thing to every other player that we guard, that same type of focus, that same type of attention to detail, and see if we can't make their shots harder. You use that as an example, as a story to tell. And she did that. You know what's amazing is she hadn't scored when the score was 17-0. She was scoreless at that point. And then we did, okay, well, we've done a great job on Paige, but had we really, she just hadn't shot it yet. She was getting, and that's what makes her so special. But I think there's carryover and defense. Lewis Horton said it great. Defense is science and offense is art. And this, when it's science, there's so many variables that come in there, and it takes a little bit longer for it to have an impact. When you're talking about science, you have to experiment more. You have to fail more often. We all know that not most experiments are successful the very first time you run it. It's what you learn from in the mistakes that you're making. So I think that's what defense does. And I think we've got good defenders. I really like how we are. And it's funny, as good as we were on offense, Gino was really complimentary of despite how we defended Paige, that overall our defense had improved from last year. And we had a good debrief, and he was very encouraging for me and for the things he said about our kids. But, if we can guard them, I know we gave up 95 points, but if we can guard them as hard as we did, then that will have carryover when we're facing teams that don't have Paige Beckers. And, Kristen Williams and AZ. We had the argument on the bus, like, outside of Paige, who's their next best player? You got 7 different answers. AZ Fudd was the #1 recruit in the country. Amari DeBerry didn't play. She's like the 6th best player in the country last year. She couldn't get in. So we took that as a compliment that Paige had to play 40 minutes. I don't think he had any intent. If you watched his press conference, he said, hey, maybe I'll just have to play her 40 minutes every night. I don't know. But I don't think they had any intention of playing 40, 38, and 38 out of their guards. I think that's how hard we pushed them and how more competitive the game was than maybe the score, or maybe it looked on TV. But it was, if you were in that building, they respect. We got a hand from their crowd coming off, and that was a good, pat on the back for our kids to hear, and the comments they had. But overall, great trip, and we learned a lot. And specifically, I think on the defensive side, you'll see that in the next 5 to 10 games for sure show up.
Thank you, Mike.
Blake, do you have anything? All right. We'll go ahead and end it there. Thanks, everybody.
See you, everybody. Thank
Thanks,
y'all.
Mario. Thanks, Mike.
You got it.